most people bought the album just because of the album cover shot.
What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to y'all as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one, and we appreciate your support getting us this far. If you haven't already, you can also join right there. We got 3 different tiers of how you could help us in that way. Now, today for Cover Story, man, we got the honor and the privilege of coming through. Joining us with King T. Thank you, sir.
What's up, man?
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. Good to see you, son.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about Act of Fool today, one of the more iconic album covers. So for me, so much to this story and so much to these photos. So first of all, I was shocked in 1988 seeing the shotgun and the wide shot. So
yeah.
First with the wide shot, how did you guys, because so many covers were up close or people like you could see them, that you guys didn't do that with you. Do you remember why you did it from a distance?
I mean, to be honest, it was kind of a surprise how it came out like that. We basically were just doing random shots around the neighborhood, but honestly, that was all Glenn Friedman's idea. And Glenn Friedman is a prominent photographer that took a lot of classic hip hop photos back in the day, from Run-DMC to Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, all that. And that was just a random shot we took with. It was all Glenn's idea. He put it all together, and where it wrapped around the album cover and all that. And we just continue with it on all 3 album covers that I did for Capitol Records. It was a shock. We actually took that shot in Hawthorne, California, at DJ Pooh's old apartment. And it was just a random idea. We got the gun out the apartment, and I had on the khaki suit, and Pooh was there. He was drinking a can of Old English, and we had some homies there, Mixmaster Spade, Roger Clayton from Uncle Jam's Army, Dre Hooper that was actually his Cadillac, and a couple of other homies, and it just turned out great, man. Just turned out great. It turned out to be one of my favorite. It's a classic shot, and I get a lot of props for that, So I'm happy.
Absolutely. Now, cars, especially with the first 3 albums with Capitol Records, cars are like a big deal for your album covers. I know it's Glenn's idea in general, but as you continued, why do you think cars ended up being fixtures on your album covers?
Yeah, I mean, I was a low rider at heart. I had a 64 Chevy. I had 2 actually, but they were still being worked. And that was my favorite thing to do. All I wanted to do was just low ride. Okay. So, I love having cars on the album covers. That was my favorite thing.
And what did you in particular like about riding around, being in a car, cruising?
Just bouncing up and down. My mother had a low rider when I was a little baby, and I just used to be in the passenger seat bouncing around, and I just love hitting the switch, and just love the way they looked and how people paid it, love to see them and things like that. So low riding was my favorite thing.
Yeah. And I know I've thanked you for this before, but I remember the first time I ever really got the full tour of Crenshaw, where the strip was. You took me down there, so thank you again for that back in the day.
Yeah. Long time ago. Shit, yeah. What, early 90s?
Yeah, it was a long time ago when we did that. But thank you again for doing that. Now, with the other thing, since it's a wide shot on the album cover for Act of Fool, was there any concern of having a gun on it? Because that was still kind of I know Boogie Down Productions had already had it on Criminal Minded, but was it a big deal in your mind to have a gun? Like, were you worried?
Nah, I wasn't worried, but I was young. I think I was about 18, 19. But and but we did have a little fight back from the label Capitol Records, because I was like the first real street artist that they signed. They didn't really have no department, no urban department they didn't know what to do with me. So they kind of fought it, but the shot, like I said, came from Glenn Friedman, and they know that he did a lot of classic shots, so they went on and accepted it.
Okay. And then me being in Maryland and not seeing the first video of yours I saw was bass, but for people that might not have seen videos right away, I was also trying to figure out who everybody was, because it wasn't you front and center per se. So
Yeah.
as an artist, that didn't bother you, it didn't worry you, did you think about that? Did it matter?
What, like in the first video, bass?
No, in the album cover, because it wasn't
Oh,
because King T a group? Is King T one
oh,
dude?
you don't know who King T. You don't know if it was Pooh or the guys in the back. Yeah, yeah. No, I wasn't concerned, because I was always was like on the crew thing. You know what I'm saying? King T could be it could be the whole crew. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I was with the family thing, the crew thing. So I wasn't. I was shy back then. I didn't really want to be in the forefront of everything. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted my crew around me a lot. You know what I'm saying? It didn't matter who was on the cover, it's still me.
Okay. And then of course it's very LA having the house shoes on there. So was that just what people happen to be wearing that day, or like
Yeah, that's how that's my everyday wear, you know what I'm saying? House shoes and khakis, we woke up wearing 501 jeans and house shoes and a t-shirt and shit. It's still like that today.
this I know. And then how did you guys take a bunch of shots? Because how did you figure who was going to stand against the wall or where people were, or that was just all just multiple shots and you just picked that one?
It was just multiple shots. We went to like 3 different neighborhoods. We went to Compton. We went to DJ Pooh's neighborhood, in Inglewood, and Hawthorne. So we just took shots all around town, and while driving and all that, you know what I'm saying, to use for different singles and things like that. So we got multiple shots, but that one stood out.
Okay. And then on the back cover, it's like you guys are looking in the front of the car. Like, you remember
Yeah.
what you happened to be doing at that time?
Well, yeah, it's basically just one photo, but half of it is on the front, and the back of it wraps around is on the back of it, and that was the rest of the crew, the Compton posse, Spade and Roger and everybody else.
Okay.
Scotty D.
Gotta shout out Scotty D, putting it down as always. And what do you remember at the time? Like, what kind of feedback did you get from the fans once the album came out, Act a Fool?
Oh, they loved it. I mean, kids. I mean, it was something new on the West. It's never been seen. You know what I'm saying? That in that nature. You know what I'm saying? It was on some street gangster shit. And I wasn't really trying to go that route, gangster, but it's something that we was around all the time, and people loved the album cover shot, and they most people bought the album just because of the album cover shot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now looking back, what would you say is the legacy of the Act a Fool album cover?
It was the beginning of everything. It was the beginning of the Lokes, the glasses, the the tight ass khaki suit that I was flooding in, and the house shoes. It bought everything, that was the beginning of everything. That was in '88, late '80s, like, and it started it all off. And then after that, everybody was in khakis and house shoes. So it's the foundation for the West, the gangster shit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the Act the Fool album cover as well as the album itself, I think are very important. So I'm glad we're talking about it because I think, you know, it definitely captures that moment in time of the other thing about it and with your music too is it's a timestamp of switching from kind of the electro funk into what Ice-T was doing, what you were doing, what
Yeah,
Easy started doing. It's a very specific time.
yeah, yeah. And very East Coast, you know, it's a very heavy East Coast influence on the music that, you know, we were trying to do. We were trying to create our own thing because it wasn't really nothing, like you just said, it was the electro type thing. So we were very influenced by, you know, the East Coast artists, which were, you know, it wasn't too many. It was LL and Run-DMC, Eric B. and Rakim, Big Daddy Kane. So we were on that boom bap style more than anything, you know, and you know it, and that kind of created the lane for King T. You know, King T doesn't sound like he's from the West Coast, which really we didn't have no sound back then, really, except for the Egyptian Lover, and except for Ice-T and Too Short and things like that. But you know, we tried to create a new lane. Yeah, Pooh.
And I'd say you did that. So King T, thanks for coming through for Cover Story, man. Really appreciate it.
Okay. No doubt.